What's up, everyone? Cody from the Ink Shop. This is the season finale. It was a great first season. Loved every minute of it. Loved all the support that we got. Thank you to everyone that watched the first season. Thank you to all the guests that were on the first season. We're going to take a couple weeks off for the holidays before we jump back into season 2. So after this episode, we'll see you in 2020. Happy holidays, and everyone have a happy new year. Before I get into season 1's little recap that we're doing here, I wanted to talk a little bit about merch. Clearly, I'm wearing one right now. This is the Ink Machine logo shirt. There's only sizes small and medium left, so get those while they're still available. Of course, teespring.com/TW Films. We've got TW Films, The Ink Shop, Astrox, and To My Former Self. And then there's beanies that just came in. I'm going to have pictures of that online as well. And then I have a new shirt that I'm making myself. Will actually is behind the camera. He has one on right now. So there's that. So hit me up if you want one of those. It would be just $10. Any color you want, just let me know and I can get that for you. But jumping back into the finale of season 1, like I said, it was a great first season. Unbelievable guests on every episode. Thanks everyone that participated. Whether you watched from afar or you were on the show, thank you so much. So I thought I'd start off this episode with a little montage of my favorite tattoos. There were so many tattoos on this first season that I loved, but for time's sake, I had to narrow it down a little bit. So please don't take offense if your tattoo isn't featured in this. I loved every tattoo that was on this first season. So here's a little montage of some of my favorite tattoos from the first season. Welcome back, and I put together some of my favorite moments from the show as well, some of my favorite stories that I heard. Every episode brought something new to the table, and I loved every minute of it. This is probably some of the most fun I've done behind a camera, so I figured I'd narrow it down to my top moments, starting off with none other than Jay Battle in episode 10, The Champ Is Here. Jay, everything he says is just super inspirational, and I loved every minute of our interview. Here's a couple highlights from Jay Battle, episode 10, The Champ Is Here.
I was in school. I mean, I'm sure they had tattoos, and none of them were visible.
Yeah.
Do you think it's different now in 2019 with tattoos, or do you think it's still kind of the same, you know, being that you got the exposed?
Yeah, yeah. And so not only the tats, but just being a male black teacher is already like, you know, two, not strikes, but two like normal things in education, you know. And so, funny story. I go in and meet my teacher over this past summer 2018, to meet with my cooperating teacher I'm going to be working with for student teaching. He was my guy. Mr. Mazingo, if you see this, you're my guy. You always know that. It never will change. He brought me in, sort of toured the school, got me familiar with my route every day, where his class was, what we're going to go over the school year. And we met with the principal. And I'll never get this. The principal looked at me, he goes, I'm going to let you do what you want, but I advise you, this building and this district probably will look at you sort of funny if they see the tattoos. And so me being out who I am, Cody, you know me, a lot of my friends that are going to see this, y'all know me, like, I'm very unapologetic and proud of who I am. You know what I'm saying? And so it almost came off as a challenge to me, you know what I'm saying? And from that day forward, I made sure I wore a polo the first day so everyone could see him. And whenever the kids see me, that's the first thing they look at. And a lot of kids are super receptive to it. You know, kids, they'll ask you 110 questions and don't care about none of them. And I love it. And then I see teachers and I see secretaries and I walk in, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the sub today for such and such class. They're like, you? I'm like, yeah, tall, black, a guy, I got tabs. I'm like, yeah, I teach, man. You know, there's definitely a stigma. And I don't think it's changed. I think it's just been sort of BS'd over. Sort of like with the principal, he did at the school I was working at, sort of like warned me. And then when the article came out, did you ever read that Cleveland Gazette article about me kneeling? In the comments, they were like, oh, this guy poisons his body with tattoos and can't believe he's like that in the classroom. So for me, it's all motivation. You know me, Cody. Like, I don't give a damn about none of that. It's like, I know what I'm capable of, and just because I have tattoos doesn't make me less capable.
And next, we're going back to episode 13 with tattoo artist Dave Corbin.
I still have friends of mine that I haven't seen in years, like my friends' mothers. And they see me with all my tattoos, and they don't really look at me. They just kind of shy away, you know, and then you can mess with them a little bit, you know, hey, remember me? No. And once they tell them who you are, they're like, oh my goodness, you've changed.
Up next is probably the craziest story we heard in season 1. This is episode 6 with Jayvon, the accidental gang member.
The reason I got this cross with a crown covered up was because I got racially profiled at this Army recruiting center. They pulled me into a room because I told them about the tattoo, and they pulled me into a room, him and one other dude, and started talking to me about it and asking me where I lived, what ethnicity I am. He's like, you're Hispanic, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm black and white too. And he was like, yeah, Latin Kings. Like, I was automatically in Latin Kings because I had the tattoo, which would make sense. I look Hispanic, whatever, but yeah, he said a bunch of things that was like, I didn't find right, so I never went back there. And on top of getting that wrong one, for instance, I went to Florida, and the manager at the Five Guys that I worked that I ended up being best friends with later, he was a blood, and he like G-checked me. G-checking is like him trying to be like him, like seeing what gang I'm in, what set, blah, blah. And I got G-checked by my manager at Five Guys.
Jumping back into the countdown, we have, this is episode 8 with my buddy Nick. This is the injured Falcon story.
The first tattoo I got was on my right arm here, is the Falcon. It was, how old was I? I think I was 22. I had recently turned 22. I got it while I was in the military. That's the only regret I really have about the tattoo, was I got it while I was away, and I should have just been patient. Got it when I got back home. The guy kind of scarred me up a little bit, but it's symbolic for a couple reasons. I went to Firelands, so they were the Firelands Falcons. I know that's kind of cheesy, but it kind of is what it is. But playing football there taught me a lot of life lessons that I carried over, and it actually got me through Marine Corps boot camp, you know, just the determination and stuff like that. So it's actually like a banged up Falcon, because we weren't very good.
Coming up next for you is from episode 9 with one of my craziest guests. This is Tommy, aka DM the God, with Thug Life.
My only human one over here, which was nice because that was a big thing for me with like my depression and everything, of constantly needing to try to do everything and help everything and stressing myself out, trying to do so much. I had to remind myself that I was only human. So like, I can only do so much. So it's a nice little reminder every once in a while to look at that and be like, you're good, man. You can only do so much. And then the other one that would probably be one of my favorites is the Thug Life on my belly. Just because no one ever expects it, and to me it is the funniest thing, especially being like growing up on like in Southside Lorraine. So it was like, especially when I was growing up, it was like real hood, and me being a rapper and everything now, and it's so funny because everyone's always like, oh yeah, I'm a thug, and I'm like, yeah, I do Thug Life, but I'm a nerdy motherfucker, and I'm just like, I got Thug Life tattooed on me, so I'm like, yo, come at me. And it's such a funny like thing to me, but it's also me because that's who I am. As much as I have everything going around, I still try to find like some like brevity and like have a nice little light. Hey, it's funny, it's cool, but it's also like, let's square up or something. I don't know. It's just fun. It was a good tattoo. It was funny to me. I like it.
Up next, we go back to episode 12 with Dog's Attack. This is Jeannie telling a couple backstories behind her tattoos. If you guys missed out on that, here's a little recap for you.
The one on my foot with my parents, the rose and the weather vane, it's because of, well, my dad, like I said, was a weatherman, and my mom, even though my dad had a flower shop, my mom loved roses, so I put it on my foot, and it's just because they gave me stability and kind of were my stepping stones, as I said, that whenever I needed them, they were always there for me. The other one that I have is on over my heart. My brother, when I was a sophomore in high school, a junior in high school, passed away when he was serving in the military, and it's his dog tag with his initials and the date of his birth and the date of his death. And it's just kind of a remembrance thing for me.
And last but certainly not least on my countdown of favorite moments, this is from our most recent episode. This is episode 18, The One-Hit Wonder.
My grandmother loved owls. She collected them, had them tastefully all over her house. So every time I've ever seen owls, I always immediately would think of my Mimi, is what I called her. And actually in the branch, when you look at the photo of the tattoo, I have her name Mimi etched in the branch. So I chose owls because of her, to honor her. And then underneath the branch, I have a scripture. It's Psalm 145:4. And that scripture talks about proclaiming the great works of God from one generation to the next. The moon is because I grew up in a very abusive household, and my mom and my siblings and I were trapped there for many years. And it was a very dark childhood, but my grandmother was always that bright light in the darkness that gave me hope and reassured me that everything was going to be okay. And I never felt completely lost because of her.
Again, there were so many great moments on this show. It was hard to narrow it down. Those are just a few of my favorites from the first season. Can't wait to see what's in store for season 2. We also had a few tattoo artists on the show, and I had the pleasure of speaking with them and hearing about their backstory and what got them into tattooing, as well as some of their favorite moments. So for starters, I of course have Josh from Tried and True, one of my good buddies. This is some highlights from the Josh interview.
The most difficult part about tattooing is there's no erasers, there's no second chances. You're on your own. So if you aren't happy with the way a tattoo is done, then you have to fix it and you have to make it right for that person, because they're trusting in you to wear this tattoo for the rest of their lives. So you want it to be right for them. You want them to be super happy when it's finished. So you have to take your time, don't rush anything, just relax and just let it come naturally and do the best you can for people every single time you tattoo. What I like most about tattooing is every day is a different experience. You never know what's gonna walk in the door, you never know who you're gonna tattoo, what they're gonna want, and it's exciting. It just keeps.
Up next, we head back to Madhouse Inc. with Anthony and Mike. Check this one out.
I just enjoy the people I meet, the stories I get to hear from different clients, and the crazier the idea, the harder I want to work on it and make it into being possible as a tattoo. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I just love a challenge, and it's just the people you get to meet and the stories is just, I don't know, you feel like a therapist in a way. You get to get them through some hard times, and sometimes they help you through some hard times, just from what they say. I had this guy stop in when I was working with American Outlaw in Amherst, and I was by myself, and he wanted a very simple tattoo on his chest. It was his first one. It was an infinity sign with his daughter's name, and it said 999,000. That's what his daughter thought was infinity, which was cool, you know. And what was hitting me to my hit my heart really hard is that my daughter was gonna be born like a month later after I tattooed this. My wife was 8 months pregnant, and I did this tattoo, and it was so straight lined and so nerve-wracking because it was his first, and his daughter, I guess, ended up passing when she was 14 from cancer. So that was kind of a terrifying but a happy moment that I could get him through that.
Honestly, what I enjoy the most about tattooing, I'd have to say, is when a customer gives you a giant hug after you get done giving them something that they want, and they're just appreciative, like they love what they got. I think that's pretty much it, man. Like, you know, giving somebody what they want on their skin that they can carry with them forever. Like, there's something sentimental about that, you know what I mean? So that's where I stand with that.
And of course, how could you forget the legend, Dave Corbin?
Meeting new people, listening to their stories, get you more involved in the work that you're doing. It's pretty much it. Just tattooing is my life. You know, I eat, sleep, and tattoos. So there was one recently, a lady just, when I was working out in Parma, a lady went through a rough divorce, and I helped her through that with a tattoo. That felt pretty good. Yeah. It always feels good when you can help somebody emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we can't have a tattoo show without talking about Rae Beth from Inkspired Studios. Here's a couple highlights from her interview.
Getting to know people. I get to meet so many different people from so many different walks of life. I think that's, I mean, of course, the artwork, but I mean, that's cliche. I like to meet people. That's the difference, I think, with tattooing and other art forms is you interact with people so much. And when you're sitting there in pain for quite an amount of time, it makes people talk to try to get through it. So you get to learn a lot about a lot of different people, and that's always sweet. So I like that.
Now that we have the fun side of all of it, I figured we kind of close it out by talking about the regrets that we've had on the show. Had a lot more than I thought we would have. I knew we would have some people that have regretful tattoos, but we had quite a bit actually, which is fine. You know, people make mistakes. It's not that big of a deal. Everyone has a regretful tattoo, I feel, whether they want to talk about it or not. So these are some of my favorite / funniest regret stories from the first season. Check it out.
But it was Yosemite Sam is only because I thought it was cool. But regretted it, so then I had to cover up.
What was the cover up?
The cover up was a panther over top of Yosemite Sam. And then I covered that up.
I was like, well, this is something I've been doodling in my notebook. And now it's on my wrist. And I can't get rid of it. And everybody asks me what it means. I don't know what it means. It's just 13 and a triangle. And I'm not part of the Illuminati, I promise. I promise I'm not. It was a mistake, but it's here. Back to this thing. This thing has got to go. Like, sometimes I just wake up and do this. like it's going to go somewhere. But it doesn't.
And that's a wrap on season 1 of The Ink Shop. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Can't wait for season 2 to begin in 2020. If you'd like to be on The Ink Shop, please feel free to message me. We're always looking for guests. We're looking to do some more traveling this season. So no matter where you are, hit us up. We'll be there. Aside from The Ink Shop, I personally am working on a short film starring Chris Norris, lead singer of Misery Melody, also starring Justin, aka To My Former Self. I'm in it as well, and a couple other people. It's going to come out hopefully early 2020. We just have a couple things left. It's going to be I guess you would say like a sci-fi thing. It's kind of a Godzilla spoof movie. I don't know. It's it's hard to describe. You just gotta see it. I'll have the trailer out hopefully soon. We still have some filming to do. Ink Shop's coming back in 2020. To My Former Self has stuff going on in 2020. Astrox has stuff going on in 2020. TW Films has a lot going on. We can't keep going without your guys' support though. So again, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the page. Buy the merch. Help us help you. This has been the end of season 1. It's been a great season. Hopefully you guys stick around for season 2. My name's Cody. Thank you so much for watching.